Hi, I'm Matt from Educraft.org. So in this video, what we're going to do is you'll probably have noticed when you run your mod from Eclipse to test it, to test your items, you'll have these really good looking items because the textures work, they'll fit in the game, they'll do what you want them to do. But when you hover your cursor over them, their names are going to be kind of dumb. It'll say like item dot, then it will have your unlocalized name, and then it'll say dot name. And so you probably don't want that. You probably want, if your item is your unobtainium helmet, you probably want it to say unobtainium helmet without looking like code. One of the things you want to do when you make programs as a programmer is you want the user to sort of not see the code stuff. You want them to feel very comfortable. And so when they see stuff that looks like code, like a name with underscores and dots in it, that makes the user kind of weird. They're like, oh, this doesn't look professional. So you want the names to be in plain English. You know, they are proper nouns, so you'll have capital letters, but if the item's name is 2 words, you want it with a space and not with an underscore, or you don't want it run together with like a capital letter sort of spacing out the words for you. That's fine in programming, and that's useful in programming when you do it that way, but you want the user's end to look like normal English. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to look at a file we haven't looked at in our tutorials before. It's called a .lang file, and since we're speaking American English and we're using American English spelling, it's US underscore N underscore US .lang file, meaning English and the United States variation, because we don't spell color with a U. I'm sure that if you're making Minecraft mods in the United Kingdom, it's probably N underscore UK, and if you're making Minecraft mods in German, it's probably Deutsch, DEUSCH .lang, or something like that. And I'm going to assume you're making your mod for English speakers, because if you're making your mod for non-English speakers, I can't help you, because I don't speak any language other than English, because I suck. I took Japanese for 4 years in high school, but I don't really remember much. Nihongo o Skoshi Hamashimasu. I think that was right. Oh well, that's not important. Anyway, let's get to it. Alright, so in Eclipse, you're going to go to your resources package. So I'm going to lower that, assets.mymod, perfect. And then you should have this package called lang, and then this thing called n underscore us dot period whatever lang. And if you don't, you're just going to right click on this assets.mymod package. You're going to say new package, and then you're going to add you're going to say dot and then lang, not nag, lang. And it says package already exists, because it does, but if you don't have that package, it won't say that, and you'll click on finish, and that package will be created, and you'll see it right there. And then you'll right click on the package and say new. Actually, I think you need to go up here, go to file, new, and then just go to file, and then you'll get the file name. You're going to type n underscore us in all caps .lang. So if you don't have the file, look, and that already exists. Yeah, I know it already exists because I'm awesome. But if it doesn't already exist for you, those are the steps. You'll click finish, and then you'll have that file. Now I've already entered some things from other times in the mod. So if you double click on that, either the notepad will pop up, or sometimes you'll see what it looks like in here. But either way, you'll have the ability to edit your file. So if you look, I already have some stuff done. And if you're playing this off of the flash drive, or you downloaded the materials from our website, educraft.org, then you will already have some of these items. But basically what happens is this is just a list, and you notice I've separated it by items and blocks, although in this blocks are called tiles. And for item group, that's what we named the tab, the creative tab that's created specifically for this mod. So what you're going to do is, in general, I like to keep them grouped together. So if it's on an item, I put it on the top, and then I have a space, and then I have the ones for the blocks, which are called tiles for some reason. and then I leave a space, and I have other things like a creative tab name. So let's start. I'm going to go with some of the stuff that we created already. So the general rule is, if it's an item, the game calls it item dot. Then it calls it the unlocalized name you gave the item. So I'm going to type unobtainium underscore helmet, and then it ends in dot name. So the game, you give your item the unlocalized name, and then when your game creates the item, it automatically says what kind of thing it is, whether it's an item or a tile / block, or it's an item group or anything like that. And then at the end it says dot name, saying, hey, this is the name. And then with no spaces whatsoever, you type equals. Anything that comes after this equals sign is going to be what the game calls your items. So for example, if I start with a space, that space is now going to be part of the text that is displayed for this item's name. So I'm going to just type in with no spaces after the equals sign. I'm just going to type what the item is called in the game. The item is going to be called an unobtainium, and a space here is okay, because in plain English you would have a space here. Helmet, capital H, proper nouns, brah. All right. Next up, I'm going to do the next up I'm going to do the, because it's an item, I'm going to do the unobtainium ingot, so it looks better. So I'm going to type item dot unobtainium underscore ingot, because that's the unlocalized name we gave it, dot name, because we're identifying this as the name. And I'm going to type equal, and now everything I type after here is going to be exactly the text that is displayed when I hover my cursor over the item. So I want it to be called an unobtainium ingot. No underscores, no running the words together and capitalizing the first letter, plain English. And next up, the unobtainium spade. Well, we call it shovel because spade is the programming name. They call it shovel in the translation name. It just worked out that way. So item dot unobtainium underscore spade dot name equals unobtainium shovel. All right, and then we had the material ore that you get in the game. Because it's a block, we call it tile dot, and sorry, not material, we had the unobtainium ore that you created, and so its unlocalized name was unobtainium underscore ore dot name, and it equals unobtainium space ore. Now you might say, well, Matt, what about the unobtainium material? Well, you never actually see the material. You see the blocks and the items that you make that are considered, actually not even the blocks. You see the items that you make that are considered made of this material. The armor, helmet, and the tools. And the game doesn't even know that an unobtainium ingot is made out of unobtainium. It just knows that if you smelt an unobtainium ore, you get an unobtainium ingot, and an unobtainium ingot is useful for recipes that create things like unobtainium helmets and unobtainium shovels. So you never have to make, since the player never actually sees the material, they just see items, some of which actually call the values from the material. You don't have to name your material. This is all just player and stuff, so the player doesn't see codey looking things, coding like things with dots and underscores, but they see something in plain English that, norms are what I call people who don't program, see something that seems nice and pretty for them. Okay, so I'm going to save this file save. If you did this, oh, that's not good. Oh well, if you did this in Eclipse, you want to go to Files, Save All, but yeah, I already took care of that. And then we're going to run the game and see if our stuff looks all nice and pretty. All right, so let's look at our items in the game. Going to check them out, and oh look, unobtainium shovel, unobtainium ingot, none of that silliness. And let's look at the helmet. Unobtainium helmet. Now remember, you know how to add textures for this, so I didn't because I'm lazy. But if you're making a mod that you actually want to put out there, you'll want to do that. But either way, hey, we got our items named properly, and we're good to go. Okay, so that's pretty much the last step until you have a complete and presentable mod. So, hey, congratulations, you've done it if you followed all these steps, assuming that you want a meat and potatoes mod that's just about adding new items and blocks in the game, making the game spawn stuff to make things out of these new items and blocks, then there you go. You know everything you need to know. Congratulations. So next time we're going to talk about how to compile your mod and how to install mods. Most of you may already know how to do that, so you can skip that last part of the video, but I thought I'd put it on anyway in case you haven't done that before.